Pregame.com.
Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. Steven, we're doing this one. We got a lot of Tim Tebow fans out there, and you know we're all about ratings. And I know if we just say Tim Tebow, people are going to watch the video. So here we are with another Tim Tebow game. What's your thoughts?
Well, it's easy to rip Tebow. He's yet in his 3 starts to pass for more than 125 yards. But Denver, 2-1 in his 3 starts. He's given them a spark, and he's taken the pressure off a bad defense. No one talks how bad Denver's defense is because they're all just talking about Tebow all the time.
This, you know, the Denver defense is bad. They're horrible against the pass. They can't stop anybody with a passing game. Now, I'm not saying that Kansas City is a team that's got, you know, a great passing game. Don't get me wrong there. But you've got a Kansas City Chief team here that's got to be in an angry mood. They lost to the Miami Dolphins last week. Not only did they lose, they got spanked, 31-3. And this was a situation where, you know, I was a week late to the party, you know, or I should say a week early to the party. I had San Diego the week before against Kansas City. I thought Kansas City was counterfeit. You know, their wins, they had won going into the San Diego game, they had won 3 in a row. They were a home dog on Monday night. I loved San Diego that night. I felt Kansas City was counterfeit. They beat Minnesota, they beat Indianapolis, and they beat Oakland the week that the first game without Jason Campbell, and they had the Carson Bowler / Carson Palmer debacle. So what do? They go out and beat San Diego. No, wait, let me change that. They didn't beat San Diego. San Diego beat San Diego. What happens last week? In comes the winless Miami Dolphins, and Kansas City absolutely lays an egg. Gets beat, embarrassed. They got to come out, and if they got any pride at all, any talent on this team, they got to be totally focused this week off of a loss like that.
Well, they don't. I was with you on San Diego a couple Monday nights ago, and I think the outcome of that game would have been different if the referees didn't call that phantom pushing off on Antonio Gates on that touchdown. That was one of the more bogus calls of the season, but, you know, that sounds like sour grapes, so we'll move on. I stuck with my opinion that Kansas City, to use your word, it's a good word, counterfeit. Miami was my free pick last week, and they beat Kansas City straight up. Now Kansas City comes home. They're laying points. We know Denver's bad, but so is Kansas City. 3-11-1 against the spread is home chalk, Kansas City. They're not good in a favorites role, and they've lost some of their key players. They're just not that good of a team to be laying this kind of number. Talk about their schedule, Marco. It's been very weak. I mean, who have they beaten? You know, Indianapolis, Minnesota when they had McNabb. I think they're counterfeit. I don't think they're a very good team. I don't like their head coach. And I think Denver hangs in here.
Well, I can't disagree with anything you're saying about Kansas City. But, again, we got to talk about him. Tim Tebow, he's still not an NFL quarterback, okay? Somehow, some way, he's 2-1, you know? And
if he's not an NFL quarterback, Marco, he wouldn't be 2-1. I think he's not a conventional NFL quarterback. His mechanics, you know, he's not a very accurate passer at all. But now they're switching the light finally clicked in on John Fox, you know, Mr. Conservative. Well, let's tailor our offense around the skills of Tebow. Tebow does bring some things to the table, a lot of intangible things, but also you can run some option. You know, it may look like a Saturday rather than a Sunday, but you can do some things with Tebow. And Willis McGahee, who to be honest, I thought was washed up, but maybe it was just Oakland, but he looked pretty good last week, so you can do some things around Tebow. Not your conventional downfield passing, which is the NFL has become about, but it's not like Kansas City, some juggernaut.
The one thing I've noticed about Tebow, I mean, obviously, you look at the stats, and he's horrendous. I mean, the 3 games, his passing numbers, 13 of 27 for $1.25, 18 of 39 for $1.17, 10 of 22 for 113. He's a horrible passer. But there's one area where he passes. You know how, like, you look at the zones of the field, you know, left, right, center. When he runs the patterns over the middle and deeper over the middle, he seems to be more accurate on those for some reason. And you would kind of think, I don't know if you think that is the harder route or the easier route to, to throw, but he's connecting on those ones. It's everything else that's bad. And let's face it, he's a running back playing quarterback position. I mean, that's where they've won the games, is the plays he's made with his legs. They're not going to win games with him making the plays with his arm yet.
Yeah, and he also takes a lot of sacks, a lot of unnecessary sacks. I think it has to do with his inexperience and his just his unconventional style of playing quarterback. But Kansas City is not a good pass rushing team, and it's not like I'm in love with Denver. It's not like I have a strong opinion, to be honest, to this game, Marco. My problem is Kansas City laying points, because I think they're counterfeit. I don't think they're very good.
Well, I got to say that when I look at lines, you hear me talk about trap games and so forth and that. Just looking at this line and seeing Kansas City, who had won 4 in a row and then, had an inexcusable loss, to see the line this low, to me, would say they're begging you to take Kansas City. But when the other team is Denver and it's Tebow, the line has been so skewed on their games because Vegas knows, for whatever reason, the public is in love with Tebow. And there's going to be play to him in the line. Think about a couple weeks ago. How ludicrous was it that Detroit was only a 3-point favorite at Denver? It was all because of the Tebow factor. So it's kind of hard to really gauge what the number is, what Vegas is trying to do with the number where it's at. You got to put your own power ratings up and just run with it and not try to read into it, because I just think they are giving too much credit to this Denver team because they know where the public sentiment is.
It's kind of a phenomenon right now, but it could all evaporate within 2 weeks, Marco. If Denver loses this game, Tebow doesn't look good. If they lose next week and Tebow doesn't look good, we could be looking at Brady Quinn as their new starter. This would be the end of this Tebow stuff.
Yeah, well, just like, he wins a game, they get excited. Then he has the Detroit game, and, they're calling for his head. Then he wins last week. So he's like a yo-yo. Yeah. So if he yo'd, and now it's time for the bad one, this would be the bad game.
He was Josh McDaniels' boy. He's not John Fox's, so I think he's got a short leash. I give him, if he doesn't play well this week and they lose, and next week, if they don't play well and they lose, that could be the end of him.
We'll see what happens. Your official pick?
I'll call it 21-20, Kansas City.
All right, there you go. He's got to vote for the Denver Broncos and Tim Tebow. I'm going to pass. Just going to leave this one alone. I think these are two dogs with fleas, both teams. Generally speaking, though, I will tell you that when I see two bad teams playing, I do gravitate towards the dog when it's two bad teams. So if that's any consolation, you got that working for you, but I'm not going to go on record with Tebow. So there you have it. That's going to wrap up the videos for picks with Steven and myself. We've got one more video. We do it every week. It's our Rants of the Week, and it's really a fun segment. This week, though, guys, it's going to be serious. What's going on in State College, Happy Valley with Joe Paterno, Penn State, the scandal. Check out the Rants of the Week. It's going to be a serious Rant of the Week this week. That's up next.